Hello everybody and welcome to our Building Resilience event as part of the RCA Service Design final show called Facing Forward. It's my huge pleasure to welcome you all here to meet our students and our guest speaker, Dr. Tia Cansara, more of whom very shortly. Well, just leave it a few more seconds while people come in and attend, and then we'll get the show rolling. Well, it's fantastic to see so many of you here. We're really excited to be joined by our guests and give you the opportunity to talk to our students. But let me do my brief introduction to this amazing show, Facing Forward, and introduce you to, of course, the class of 2021, who have entitled their show this year, Facing Forward. My name's Clive Grunier. I'm the head of service design. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I've got a very slow screen changer at the moment, but it is my great pleasure to introduce you to the class of 2021. And here they are 2 years ago on my first day as head of course at the RCA Service Design, October 2019. Everyone looked bright and breezy and young. And I'm delighted to say, here's another image of them yesterday, when we managed to get to the Albert Hall on a rather rainy and puddly day, and just about everybody was there. A few people were still in foreign lands, but they got just as big a cheer. And I'm delighted to say that everyone graduated. And as you can see, I was extremely overexcited by the whole event. For those of you new to service design and those of you familiar with it, this course is about humanity. It's not just user focused, it's societal focused, it's community focused, it's understanding all the people involved in the systems that we create, the services we create. We use design methods. We use any methods we can get our hand on. Behavioral science, agile, lean. We bring all these methods together and we change systems. We change technology, we change culture, we transform the way we deliver services and experiences and try to make the world a bit better. When I joined the course 2 years ago, we created these symbols to capture the ethos of the course. And I think they stand true today for the projects you're going to see in this theme of building resilience. You have to be curious to find out what's going on. You have to be courageous to play that back to the world. And you have to be collaborative to fix it and put it right and move to a better place. All the projects you're going to see are dynamic. They're very innovative and they're transformative. They're not here to leave things alone. They want to make change. We're focused on people in every sense of that word. We're focused on the system that we live on, the planet, especially relevant to this theme today. And every single project has a purpose. This morning, we had our first event on responsible data. We have a series of events over the next few days. Tomorrow, we have design for equity. We have sustainable culture and practice. And then on Friday, we have events with new business, always at the heart of service design and sustainability, and our cultural systems, everything around us, followed by reimagining agency, radical ideas for this post-pandemic time. But today, of course, we are going to be talking about building resilience. And a group of projects have come together to talk about their projects. But before we do that, I'm delighted to introduce to you Dr. Tia Cansara, who's becoming a really good friend of this course. Over the last year, she's been working with our first years and our second years around her company or organization of which she is the CEO, Replenish Earth. She's an incredibly accomplished person, as you can see here. We've been delighted to become friends with her and her organization. And apparently she's now making a TV program, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Recently back from a much-deserved sabbatical, I'm absolutely delighted that she's here. Let me stop sharing and say hello to Dr. Tia Cansara. Hello, Tia, how are you?
Gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. This is like the moment that we've all been waiting for after, a really, really good project that a lot of the students have been concentrating on. So very excited, Clive, to be here. And I'm also going to share my screen so that you can see the short presentation that I put together. You've got me for about 10 minutes, so I'm going to make the most of it. So Clive, thank you for our partnership and for the RCA for supporting Replenish Earth as much as you have. It's been absolutely incredible. We were thrilled to see so many students identifying the need for disruptive innovation and systems thinking in the well-being sector, and are super eager to know way more. So after me, you're going to have short presentations from all of the students. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Tia Cansara. Today, we're going to be focusing a little bit on emotional well-being and resilience. Of course, there are different kinds of resilience, and I think there are some really big topics that are coming up in the built environment. But today, we're focusing really on the well-being of people. But before I do that, here's a question to our audience, and you're welcome to put your answers into the chat. Is sustainability enough? At Replenish Earth, we are often approached to create sustainable strategies for businesses or advise governments on net zero infrastructure and plans on built environment. But really, this might seem to be the logical approach to environment consciousness at the large scale, considering how sustainability is trending. But what if I told you that sustainability is slightly outdated? The net zero is strategies used by many of the organizations today that don't know that all they've been doing is clearing up a mess. Net positive impact is the strategy to not make a mess in the first place. When mitigation activities or eco-alignment journeys benefit the environment instead of sustaining the status quo, these very small acts create net positive impact on nature. Net zero is to clean the planet up, and net positive is to replenish it. To replenish Earth means to manifest the philosophy of living in harmony with nature. The global commons are shared between 7.9 billion of us, as well as another 8.7 million species. The mission of Replenish Earth is to galvanize a collective conscience and to engage in collective action to protect the global commons. We strive for net positive impact, and our vision is to create the largest ecosystem that replenishes the planet. And we're committed to taking everyone on this journey by providing a range of services to guide you towards what we call eco-alignment. We've supported a number of governments, businesses, and individuals on their strategies to mitigate environmental impact and align their services towards economical and ecological growth. Basically, we meet you where you are and we take you on a journey to replenish Earth. Looking at the drastic shifts in nature's rhythm over the last decade, we understand that the need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Resilience is what we collectively build during traumas we face. And it's what prepares us with better foresight for the future. And as a species, we have thrived no matter what was thrown at us. We improvise, we adapt, we overcome. We have the ability to learn from experiences, tweak our systems, and build resilience. The devastating outcomes of the pandemic have shattered humanity and our understanding of essentials and sustenance. Coming out of this pandemic, we must embrace resilience. It's pushed us to take a leap and transform. We have new norms to engage with ourselves, with our society, and with nature. And on the professional front, we've learned to work from any corner of the world, supported by systems and services, and make our tasks easier, seamless, and super fun. Some of us may have indulged in mental breaks that have allowed us to reconfigure our thoughts and question where we're headed, individually and collectively. The pandemic has affected the planet at unprecedented scales, but we're also enduring wicked problems individually or in our communities on a daily basis. Resilience comes naturally to us after endurance. We suffer, we reflect, we look forward, we empower ourselves, and we get back on our feet. It's the preparedness for future trauma, risk assessment, innovation, and a lot of failings that help us prevent further crises. The Replenish Earth interpretation of resilience is adaptive. At Replenish, one of our services that we offer many of our clients is foresight. We develop moonshots for organizations that want to future-proof themselves. We help in tackling challenges of tomorrow by sharpening tools of today. Resilience is not a choice. It is the time that we need to spend our biggest efforts on. We've advised organizations across the globe like Google, National Geographic, the UNDP. We've advised the South Australian Premier specifically on foresight and resilience. So let's have a quick look at the kinds of opportunities that have helped redefine eco-alignment strategies to build resilience. In 2017, we were invited by Google to develop and explain the future of sustainable development. We designed a workshop to explore the future of net positive environments and economies. The dialogue that we had with them was with their organization's leading developers, introducing them to the practical challenges that they're going to be facing. We explored the pre-work of their renewable energy targets to lead them into their first year of being 100% renewable. Subsequently, they have become the world's largest annual corporate purchaser of renewable energy. We partnered with the National Geographic in 2018 to research the state of the Antarctic on the Orion vessel and documented the melting ice caps, predicting what scientists were actually going to be using. Our mission was to bring attention to the urgency of the rising sea levels and the challenges of exploring the region for research. We also strive to maintain the British Antarctic Survey together with the protocols to protect the environment. In 2017, we advised the South Australian Premier, Jay Witherall, to the Open State Festival in exploring a collaborative opportunity to improve the lifestyle in Adelaide. The way that the citizens live, the way that they work, the way that they play, and upon exploring a variety of challenges with the South Australian Premier, we advised on methods to boost community morale about net positive impact through individual and organizational activities. With the Department of Environment, Water and Natural Resources of the City of Adelaide, we nudged them towards their initiative Carbon Neutral Adelaide to make it the first city of its kind. This is where I met Elon Musk, who had just signed a contract in Adelaide to open a factory to produce batteries for their electric cars. This year, we joined the UNDP and Ernst & Young with other leading experts in technology, investment, and environmental planning to explore the dialogue around the future of tech investments, which there is a huge amount for. And more recently, we've addressed the role of nature in building deep mental and emotional connections that enable us to prosper together. Ecotherapy refers to this practice of establishing a symbiotic connectedness with oneself, with the surroundings, and with the planet. You may have watched many of my talks on the epigenetics of the built environment and how a room can change your brain, can change the way that you behave. We've explored how such practices could be cultivated with communities. More importantly, we recognize ecotherapy as a cultural practice for humanity to protect, nurture, and nourish the planet. Ecotherapy is our lens to tackle mental and emotional well-being with the support of nature. This is also a really big focus for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, their Foresight Initiative. The Secretariat has advanced the Resilience Frontiers, foresight-driven initiative to address long-term global resilience to the climate beyond 2030. Whilst we still have the SDGs, and they have set a meticulous plan for tackling climate change, the crisis, the resilience frontiers aim to go beyond that. And Replenish Earth is one amongst hundreds of thought leaders from diverse backgrounds that have an expertise in one of the three factors that you see on the screen: drivers for change, basic needs, and institutional setups. The UNFCCC has applied foresight methodologies to elaborate on 8 pathways. You can find these online, and I'm also really happy to share them with you. The most of these initiatives from us fall under Pathway 2, applying lifelong learning for environmental stewardship. We also strive to have an impact in Pathway 6, which is all about optimizing future health and well-being using a holistic and eco-centered approach with our ecotherapy movement. We have much, much more to explore to build resilience. And I hope we can further explore what we can achieve with resilience at the center. We love learning about your challenges. You can email us on info@replenish.earth, or you can follow us on Replenish Earth. On that note, we would like to extend the platform to the young minds joining us today to discuss their service propositions for building resilience. And after that, Clive and I will be back with some questions. So students, over to you. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you very much for giving that incredible, what's the word, palette of work and initiatives that are going on at the moment. And I think we share a lot of your interest and looking forward to working. But as you say, this is now time to look at the studio work. So let me share that with you. I'd like to show you now an intro video which will take you through each of the projects in this theme, projects I'm immensely proud of. I think this is a fascinating theme that we've developed, and all the projects explore this. After the video, Tia and I will be in conversation with the students, and later on, we will be setting up breakout rooms. So pay attention to the video, pick 2 or 3 of the projects you'd like to go into the breakout rooms and discover more. And when we go into that round about 2 o'clock, I'll be able to guide you to the projects that you're interested in. But let's see the projects that the students have done right here.
Coming out of pandemic, one of the qualities we must embrace is resilience. How can we help ourselves? How can we make sure we're ready for changes, whether it's future pandemics or sustainability and the changes in the environment? So this category of projects we call building resilience is about that. How can we create more robust social interaction? How can we create workplaces that enhance our well-being? How can we help ourselves be ready for future health problems that we don't even know about yet? These are the categories of projects that help us build that resilience, design our capability to face an uncertain future.
Hi, we're Phoship, a self-help tool for smartphone users to achieve their personal well-being through a healthier relationship with their phones. It has only 4 steps: register, onboard, use, then get reports and tips.
We use a grayscale as a friendlier blocking system to tackle risk cause of smartphone addiction, a comprehensive behavior. It provides a tailored support over the use of application through a proper balance between on-phone and off activities.
Then, multidimensional data report and visual animations of real-time behavioral change will be offered. At the end, your well-being will be brought to life. Let's get started your journey with us. Phoship.
In 2020, 1 in 2 women in Japan became over the age of 50. More than half of women between the ages of 36 and 55 have some form of menopausal symptoms. However, despite this fact, more than half of them do not talk to anyone or do anything about it. As a companion during the menopause, Menopare helps women to get on the right track by relieving their fears and confusion and offering them a personalized approach to coping without necessarily resorting to medication. We also help women to connect with peers to prevent isolation and support them through this period with confidence.
Hi, we're Wei and Huizi. Our project is Nature Break. We focus on the well-being for remote workers.
With our surveys, you can disconnect from your work, enjoy nature, and really stretch your mind.
You could explore the nearby green space and do some special activities.
And breaking isolation, meet your colleague offline and sharing the nature experience.
And then adopting into more healthier lifestyle and then be more productive through the combination of work and rest.
Nature break. Enjoy your break in the nature.
Since the pandemic has started, many companies have moved their work online and employees are experiencing new challenges while working remotely.
Blur boundaries between work and life makes it harder for employees to enter a working mode and stay focused on their tasks.
Also, conversation with colleagues are limited to work, and they miss the informal interactions that are needed for healthy social connections.
Our service, Pebble, is a tailor-made virtual assistant that helps remote workers tackle their day-to-day problems.
It provides cognitive exercises which help users switch between various working modes, allowing them to better stay focused on their work.
Pebble also simulated the real-world interactions from office, let users easily catch up with their peers.
We aim to promote productivity and happiness in the workplace.
Hi, I'm Xinyu Ran. Our project is an educational entrepreneurship project about resilience education for Chinese youth in coping with pressure for their daily life. Our vision is to develop a roadmap for Chinese teenagers to adapt to life challenges and grow even stronger than before. To achieve that vision, we built out our strategy by creating a series of activities and connect teenagers to assess those tools and different kinds of materials together and trigger their reflection. In addition, establish a community for them to support each other.
And we designed activity based on 5 elements of localized resilience skills with goal focus, positive perception, and emotion control, interpersonal assistance, and family support. And our mission is to create an opportunity for teenagers to accept new ideas, graduation, and cognition through experience, thereby promoting their self-growth by 3 main actions: reflect, connect, and apply.
Hi, I'm Shi.
Hi, I'm Junyi, and we have another teammate, Bowen, is in China. Our service is called To You. We are providing online service for hybrid meeting, which is a big trend after COVID-19.
For small to medium-sized Chinese companies, we are targeting the isolation happens in the meeting and providing a whiteboard, focus map, and intelligent summary to tackle this issue.
Hello, I'm Angie.
I'm Izzy.
Wellbe is a consultant service that provides a fun, intelligent, and gamified learning platform to improve the internal well-being within the workforce. The platform collects data of employees' engagement, which will be reported back to organizations. The aim is to improve the overall well-being and happiness within the workplace, as well as the overall productivity and the flexibility scheme.
So Wellbe's 3 key values are founded upon the creation of trust, ownership of health, and spread of positivity. Wellbe aims to be the stepping stone in finding a healthy balance between work and life routines, provide transparency and ethical guidelines throughout the whole service, as well as that Wellbe believes that optimism is the key in implementing change. Therefore, we're providing a light approach to a serious topic.
So there you go. The projects in this themed event of building resilience. Let me stop sharing very quickly. I don't want to give you a sneak preview of the other events yet. Just to remind you, you saw Project Phoneship about the over excessive smartphone addiction in young people and how to build a healthy relationship. You saw Menopause by Kotoko, looking at menopause in Japanese women. We looked at Nature Break, one of many projects that have focused this year, actually around some research we've won to look at nature-based solutions. Very excited about. Pebble, Aman and Dingjian and Ziyuan looking at the hybrid working a situation we're all moving into, as is Wellbe with Angelica and Isabel. 2U, Critical Design Project, looks at technology in people, and Starly, looking at building resilience in Chinese youth. So we'll be inviting you to go into breakout rooms with all those students when we've had a good discussion with them. So perhaps I'll start. Tia, what did you make of those projects, and do you have any questions specifically for any projects there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think one of the key areas that we've been looking at is digital, physical, and emotional overwhelm and overload. So during the pandemic, what we've realized is that things aren't working for us if we have to be in lockdown. Do our environments, create a form of, dislocation? Is it depressing to be in our environments? Is our relationship with work affecting the way that we behave as well? So I think that the general topic is probably the most topic, aside from finding a cure or vaccination. So in terms of what's happening in the built environment, I think a number of our projects that we saw were tackling overwhelm. But how do you get people to admit that they are overwhelmed? How do you know when you are overwhelmed or depressed, or something is really kind of not bidding well with you? So one of my big questions is, what kind of research did you do? So what were the research methods that you applied? And then how did you find out that that was really the issue? So to kind of like stop, where did you stop in your research and say, we've got it? And that's to, any of the teams that want to.
Isabel and Angie, perhaps you'd like to jump in here. You've been representing this theme as we prepare for this. How did you go about research, and where did it lead you? And what insights and perhaps epiphanies did you get from your research as well?
That's a very interesting question, because of course we are not provided with real measurement tools to measure depression, as you said, or mental balance. I guess we try to talk to people. We try to use empathy to really understand if people, in our case, workers, because Wellbe is actually a project around working remotely mainly. We try to understand with empathy, with our interviews, with our chats, what's people's situation. But again, the pandemic was a huge disruption, and we know that that the pandemic really increased isolation, mental not balance, I would say. So I think, at least for Wellbe, we try to chat with people. And to create our personal measurement tool with interviews and chats. I don't know if Isabel has anything else to add here.
I think also when we started our project Wellbe, it naturally kind of flowed to wanting to solve problems around mental balance and healthy habits in general, because we had a lot of discussions with people around us, family, friends, but also out of our own spectrum of relationships, that people just kept on saying how difficult the pandemic actually has been to them, and that they wanted to kind of see some change happening, but also at the same time it was hard for them to follow up on in our case the healthy habits solution. So I think, yeah, as Angie mentioned, we had lots and lots of talks and conversations with people online, just trying to facilitate a comfortable environment to talk about, such personal issues as well. So add that to the conversation.
Anyone else? Some of the other teams want to come in with their take on that research question. Who have we got? Who have we got here? Do we have Kotoko here? Hi, have you joined us?
Hi.
Hello, because you ran the project looking at menopause with Japanese women, which is a very taboo topic, and you got some really interesting insights into how they they responded to that. Anything you want to share with Tia?
Yeah. So one of the difficulties I encountered that because as we have a taboo or stigma about the menopause, so most of women are not willing to talk about it. So even though I want to reach them to have an interview, but many of them refused. So that's why it's really difficult to recruit some interviewee. But I have joined a Facebook group of menopause group, and I take some insight from their talk or any other feelings, and then I reached them through this group. So that's why. So before that, I didn't know that we have that very strong stigma about it. So for our age, I think it's natural to talk about the menopause or females' physical problem. But in 50s or late 60s, there is still big difficulties for talking about.
And so often the projects we're dealing with and when we're talking about well-being are very, very sensitive issues. One of the things I was really pleased about your project, Kotoko, was how you prototyped your ideas and actually did then work quite closely with women. Do you want to talk about some of the reactions they had to your project?
Yeah, so I made a homepage and also the workshop. So through this design process, many noticed that it's natural to talk about, and it's the things that we should come over. Also, so that's why I thought the design process is one of the solution for them.
It's actually really interesting to have that bridge between, hey, look, this is an issue that we have that's coming up in society, and on the other hand, we have these opportunities to tackle these issues, but often the people that we want to do them for may be a little bit shy about them, or the issue of depression in the built environment, let's say, to say that you're depressed about something, even if it is such a natural process in humanity, can actually be something that people don't want to talk about. What did you learn from uncovering something, especially because now that you've got an actual service, a workshop, as you said, and you're taking it back to a group of ladies, even if it is a focus group, to get an understanding of how this could actually be a service? Do you feel that this kind of a service is something that they would pay for? Is this something that, on the more business lens of it, to make sure that there is longevity to your project? Where would you take the next steps?
So as you said, I think it's difficult scale this business, but I think the most of women need for this support. So that's why public service should be the one of the solution, and so tie up with local government and spread and encourage them to tackle on this problem is really better, I think.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. I kind of wanted to switch over to Nature Break and Pebble. Some of the work that both of your teams have been working on is well-being at large. So do you want to give us a little bit more about some of the challenges that you had in, not only measuring how to build metrics around the subject of well-being in workplace, but also, how do you flip that into an actual service? So, where's that transition bridge between issue and service?
Yeah, so for our team, we are collaborating with Visa, and so we are closely working with Visa innovation team, and we conduct interview and workshops with their team. So the most challenging one is, of course, it's hard to talk about the well-being in the workplace. It's already quite sensitive, and the even more challenging one is you're talking about with the whole team, and the team, they have to working together later. So we kind of take all the workshops and interview or nominate, and we take individual workshops to each person, and we didn't actually interview them like with question, answer. We make it as a workshops. We create several tools. So each of them join the workshops with just without their name and title. And then we will start with finding out their network first, and then goes to their awake life, and then break down to a daily life, and then break down even more to their well-being attitude. So it's like you kind of make people's mindset like break down a bit, so they won't have that kind of barriers or something, like, because you break the question small, and then they won't notice they are answering sensitive question anymore. So that's our strategy to get all those true informations. And then we're also taking these workshop strategies further to our prototype sessions. When we are getting some assumptions, we still take those assumptions back to the workshops as a kind of tool or question in the workshops. And then generally, our service is not came out just one day. It's came out by several assumptions and combined with them. Like, so it's like each question we got results, and we got one touch point in our service. And then after that, we combine it, became a tangible service. Yeah. And Yuan, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think like to say it into the detail, I remember like we also did the desk research and to understand, because our theme is about promote happiness in the workplace. So at first, we got to pick in the positive psychology and to understand what exactly is happiness for people and what is the relationship between people and their work. So after that, we kind of like just sit in front of the users to ask them this kind of question through our workshop. And also we believe maybe ideally they already have some like ideal service in their mind. So we also form into a co-creation workshop with them. So we kind of build our service also on top of like their ideal service. And of course, combine our previous desk research. So I think that is like how we conquer the challenges. And sometimes when we find out the insight from the workshop, it's kind of repetitive. So we know, oh, I think that's it. We're almost there.
Yeah. That's it. You've got to be ready, haven't you? You've got to be ready with whatever it is that emerges. And you don't know what's going to happen in a workshop where you're trying to find out, how people are experiencing this kind of like, productivity issues and workplace issues. So you've really got to be able to segregate out many of the challenges that people are experiencing to then home in on the one service that you can provide for. So thank you for sharing your notes on that. I did have a question for Nature Break, because of course, we have predominantly been working remotely, and there are some key challenges that have emerged for a lot of people who've never worked remotely or never had to spend so much time in front of a television screen or a computer screen or a laptop. So what were some of the big learnings for you?
I feel the biggest learning in terms of this project for the remote working and the physical working, I feel it's that the way we're trying to working remotely is not 100% like suitable, because people were trying to through the remote but working as physically. The schedule, the place, we were trying to stimulate when we work physically, but it's totally different situation. We might think about what is the original reason that we using this method to work, rather than just keeping on one method like working physically but transfer it to different platform that will hurting people's well-being by some reason. For example, the stress, because the remote working actually have a lot of different uncertainty, like you may not have the boundary and place, and you may need to share in the place with others, which is very different with the physical situation. So let's change it alternative, not like using the old method. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. I think one of the things that was coming up quite a lot when I was, looking into a lot of your projects was the small nudges, nudging people towards a particular kind of behavior. So on a psychological, resilience, how do you develop and design that kind of nudging? So I'm going to move to you. If you could share some of your thoughts on what you learned from designing a service around behavioral nudging, that would be awesome.
Sure. Thank you, Tia. So the nudging is really difficult because we need to understand how hard are we gonna nudge people. Sometimes people is too much if we intervene the conversation, but we still want people being nudged. So, and it really depends on people's reaction. So we need to test and to see which method is a better way. Yeah. So the only, the thing I learned is just keep prototyping. We need to see from their reaction, and we can't, based on our imagination, to understand the behavior.
So where was the actual service opportunity for you?
For us, we see the loneliness when people work remotely, and we rely on technology to manifest the atmosphere in the meeting room. And we would like the offline participant to pay more attention to online participants. And they have like a button to nudge them. So with a slightly sound, and we'll get the attention for online participants. Like we talking offline too much and ignore the people participating online. And so the nudging is happening at that moment.
It's really fascinating that you're balancing out the way that we behave online and offline.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to design something that had that balancing act?
Oh, so we start our project last year. So we start from online, and we see the pandemic is getting better, and hybrid working is becoming a trend. So we challenge us, what happens if remote hybrid working is becoming like a mainstream, and we halfly work at home, halfly going to the office. We see our colleagues sometimes. So hybrid meeting will happen more often than now. So we will see some participants in the office. So we're talking to them, and they are closer. They have more understanding, like it's called a visual cue, like your facial expression, body language. But through Zoom, I'm missing a lot of information like that. So the well-being, the feeling for online participants really give us the interest and want to pay attention in that area.
Brilliant. And what are the next steps for you?
So we ended our project by the nudging part. We still want to keep prototyping the nudging and try different ways using technology. It's better to without technology, but it's we're still thinking about which media we can use to nudge people.
Mm-hmm. Talking about media, using AI to kind of use much of the learning of
Mm-hmm.
or recognition.
Yep.
There was a really interesting project that Apple did. I'm not too sure how far they are along the lines with this, but what they were trying to understand is the mental health of a person when they're using a mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
So what they started to appreciate was the speed at which you would type on the keyboard would dictate how you felt, what you were feeling throughout. And so the speed in your keystrokes and the aggression at how hard you were tapping the screen, all of these things were measured in order for them to recognize if there were some issues that were coming up. And of course, that could then be used as a means through which we could learn through the use of our technology on a monthly how we're feeling, how we're hormonally reacting. And of course, there are cortisol levels there. So in terms of, taking your project to another level, where do you feel that the AI can actually really support the service that you're providing?
Through the project, we see reports from Microsoft, their laboratory. Also, in this area, they're testing the algorithm AI to understand people's behavior. So we designed a similar way to understand participation by the way they're using like a whiteboard in Zoom, or the how frequently they're speaking. Try to understand them. But the biggest challenge there is the moral and ethical issue. We focus a lot on ethical. We did the survey to test our ideas, and we get a really interesting insight from Chinese employees. They said if we don't ask turn on the camera, they feel better. So they don't mind the camera, like using facial recognition to understand their behavior. But they still have like a moral issues worth us to talk about, and that's really challenging.
I think there's also ethics involved with that as well.
Exactly.
How ethical is it to use the facial recognition or camera of another person? It's almost as if you're accepting that someone's going to be recording you. So I think these are really interesting challenges that you've got. Thanks for sharing that. I wanted to move to Startly, because there is an opportunity to really understand what the journey is. What's the roadmap? Tell us a little bit about that roadmap and where it is that the challenges really did lie in communicating this roadmap for teenagers specifically.
Yep. So I think as an education project, we think that every country kind of have own problems, or we could say it's more likely opportunity point. And because China is such a huge country and it's a large population-based country, so we have a lot of difficulties according to decide our main target group user. So we found that most of the cities, mostly second-tier cities, has low awareness of resilience. So and the resilience means here is more likely psychology's terms here. So the challenging point is, education is not something that you can change just in one night or one day. So we have to raise their awareness in such a short terms to let them know what is resilience at the first place. That's kind of like most challenging point here, and also deciding whether we start from which group of users. That's the most challenging point for us. Yep.
When you were looking specifically at reflect, connect, and apply, how did you come to that conclusion?
As I mentioned before, because education is not something that you can just one service and then that's it. So we have to work from different perspectives so that we can really raise their awareness and then change a little bit in the short terms. So we apply from 3 different perspectives, and that's how we target, and that's how we create a service from whole different perspective for different types of users, because teenagers, they have different hobbies, their interest, everything is different. So we want to target the more user group for us so that we can really change our teenagers. And Ron, you can continue.
Yeah, and since we think the resilience is not gonna be built over a night or over a day, so the reason why you would like to use our system as apply and reflection is because we would like to do some activities and events in physically to trigger their thought and to trigger their thinking about what resilience is and how can they use in their daily life, and help them to keep reflection of the teenagers themselves. So our value will bring
the resilience to their daily life, not only for just one activities or one event, which also could help them to implement in every difficult situation and every kinds of difficulties or suffer they experience with.
I think it's really fascinating because on the one side, just as you would with, kanji characters, the Chinese characters, you can kind of learn them by rote, or this kind of like, almost machine type of behavior, which is just copy and paste. So what we're doing is we're sort of really challenging teenagers with a skill set for preparing them for a future of responsiveness, being responsive rather than reactive. And these are incredible skills to have going forward. When doing the kind of focus groups and really learning about the teenage kind of persona today, given that we have an increased amount of challenge with teenagers for mental illnesses and anxiety, anti-depression. So it's clear that they have incredible amounts of digital pressure, social media pressure. And so having this sorts of resilience is a skill set, a toolkit that can help them in a future which is relatively unknown, even for us, of what will happen on that digital sort of overload. Where do you feel that your project can go after this?
Yeah, this is also an interesting point that we have mentioned during the resilience activity before. So in the last activity we integrate with our teenagers, we have a small example about so nowadays a lot of people will share their pictures in the social media, and actually those pictures and words is after it's after the camera, and people will edit it. So the photos that they post is the kind of the most perfect part of this person. And there is problem that when you see those photos in the Instagram, you will see someone is beautiful or someone is rich, and you will compare them with yourself. And actually, those picture is after photographic. So, and when you compare it with yourself, you are comparing it with your real self. It's not it's not someone that's seeing you. So you will feel like there is a gap between you and the friend that you're seeing in the Instagram or social media, and they will cause that you will feel you are not that better than your friend. And actually, this kinds of situation could damage the resilience, because you will feel like the gap is not this gap is not gonna be fixed by yourself, and you will feel failed. So during the activities, we will tell our children or tell our teenagers, you don't have to compare your inner self with someone in the social media, and you should face yourself in some way that you could be better.
That's interesting. That's really interesting, because on the one hand, we've got this challenge of being online, and even more so during lockdown. I'm going to move and shift over to phoneship. One of your challenges was digital well-being through a healthy relationship with your phone. How do you feel that your service achieved that?
The way that we measure this project is we are not gonna to have overnight change. So actually we are using a psychological skill, which is for the local Chinese students. And before the activity, we will do a small test. And after the activity or about a few days after the activity, we will do the test again to measure how much will or have been changed during the resilience activity. And also we will have some after events, which will including parents and teenagers together to see what changes and how much things that we could do after that.
Brilliant. Thank you.
We have Project Phoneship here next. Natanan and team, are you?
Yeah.
There you are. Great. Fantastic. So,
yeah,
Tia, I think you were going to ask questions of them, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is creating a healthy relationship with our digital devices. And, you know, it's quite addictive. Pick up the telephone how many times a day? Check if there are notifications from the people that we care about. So how do you create this, you know, I think you called it nomophobia. How do you develop an understanding of nomophobia, which is the, you know, almost like the fear of missing out, but using your mobile phones as an addictive? Where are you with that service? And I can only imagine that there are so many competing services at the moment for creating some sort of digital detox. Where are you with yours?
Yeah, first, like we started doing the research. We did it based on the user research and market research. First, we try to understand the behavior. And you know what, like the most challenging things is people don't really understand their behavior. So one of the tools that we use, we try to ask them to share the diary, like the mobile phone report. So we take a look into that data and we find out that there might be some underlying issue. For example, we know that they just like check their phone automatically every day, every time, especially even though there is the time that they have to work. So this is quite interesting. That's the point. We understand that maybe the underlying problem or the root cause of this problem could be because of their compulsive behavior, because people don't really understand, don't really recognize themselves well. So after we understand the problem, as you mentioned that there are lots of services try to tackle this problem as well. So we continue to look at the market. We take a look into the existing service and we learned that, okay, people try to change, the service try to change people behavior, like by forcing them to stop using it. So this is kind of like hard for the user. What we think about this is like we try to use the nudging as the strategy to help fix this problem instead of just forcing them. And the nudging behavior here like also bring us the problem as well, because as you know, like nudging is just like a small change, but how could we just know that this could give the effective outcome or the result at the end? So we try to just like think about the tool, which is all about the grayscale. This is a kind of proved scientifically already. So lots of people, like especially the big tech company, they also use it to help people to just like remove like the interest in the smartphone on the screen. So that's the point. We try to integrate like user behavior to understand them and use the tool, and also based on the market research results. So we come up with the function. So yeah, this is how we think about the project.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you for taking us through all those projects. It's been great to hear your insights. These projects, of course, are very visual, and people have some fabulous designed assets and explanations. So that's why the next thing we want to do is to take you into breakout rooms so that you can actually interact directly with these students, and they can show you what's behind these projects and you can talk to them directly, almost as if this was a physical show. Imagine that. Perhaps it will be next year. Who can say? I hope so. But we've been sending people to Zoom rooms in the past, but this time we're going to try, and you're all guinea pigs in this experiment. But in a moment, my magical assistant, Faye, in the background, will open up breakout rooms. Obviously, all the students will go into their own breakout rooms, and you will be able to do this, all the people on this event, by opening up the breakout room tab, and you will see the project names lined up there. And just to remind you very quickly of what they are, I'll very quickly just share an overview of them so that you can see them all again. Just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, here we go. And share your screen just to remind you of them. So you have Project 2U looking at AI and disconnection, raising issues of ethics and all sorts of interesting things. You have Pebble bringing happiness to the workplace. You have Starly working resilience. Some very emotional footage from the workshop in that project. You have Nature Break, work and nature. Well-be, how to create better working environments and well-being. Menopause, the project around menopause with Japanese women, and nomophobia, looking at our phobia of not having a mobile. So we've got 7 great projects there. I'll stop sharing again. And when Faye presses the breakout rooms, all the students will disappear into their own rooms. You can navigate yourself to any of those rooms by looking at the room level. Each room, just above it, you will be able to click on the right hand side and it will say join, and you can go there, and you can also get yourself out by leaving the room. I'm going to be staying here. If anybody wants any help or any advice to getting in, I will take you to the room, as it were, digitally. So all the rooms are ready to go. I'm going to say break out the rooms. Faye, have you done that?
Yes, I've started the breakout room now, so everyone can try.
Fantastic, very much. So I hope you can see, if you click on your breakout room in the bottom of the menu of the Zoom, you will see, and you go down to the bottom of the list of everybody, you'll see Phoneship, Menopause, Pebble, Starly, 2U, and Wellbe, and click on one of those and go and have a chat. The students have worked hard. They've created some amazing projects. We'd really appreciate it if you gave them some time now in the remaining sort of 25 minutes. You can come back out here, or you can move yourself. And if you look at the project name, Menopause, for example, they have a blue number 1 to the right of it. If you hover over that, it says join, and you can go straight in yourself. Anyone got any problems, I'll give you, I can take you there and give you some guidance right now. So take a few minutes to pick a project, and I hope to see you all disappear into project rooms. Okay. Any questions? Just, I'm here to help answer them. And if anyone wants just to go randomly, then I'm very happy to put you in a random room as well. So this is our big experiment. Let's go to breakout rooms. I'm going to stop the recording now. And then we can do that all and come back in about 25 minutes time. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Clive. I believe there is no breakout room for Nature Break project.
Okay, Faye, are you able to add a breakout room for Nature